Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet to read for your entertainment. Now, you might notice there's a little bit of something different happening at the moment, and my voice is not sounding 100%. That is because I have a bit of the flu. So, there we go. We're in civies mode, and we're doing the best we can because the algorithm is hungry, and we need to feed her. So, going to do a short video, and then go and take some medicine and fall asleep, or something. Anyways, on to the story. The humans have killed their gods, so why haven't we? Written by Vivid Membership 3959. There is a war raging as we speak. Millions die every day, even as we gain ground. Eventually, we think we have done enough and try to dig in. However, it finds a way behind our lines and spreads its pain and suffering. Mothers lose their sons, fathers lose their wives, sons lose their brothers, and we don't commit to fighting it. As billions die and the rivalries amongst our government distract us from opportunities to defeat even one of our enemies, we surrender planet after planet to these diseases, yet calls to fight back are pushed aside. For now, the cost of defending every single planet against this threat is too high. For others, new job opportunities it brings about outweigh the costs of eliminating those jobs. And, for a few, removing these diseases is seen as betraying our past because an illness cannot exist without a carrier. For thousands of years, approaching their first 10,000, these illnesses have plagued our galaxy without ever being eradicated. Some illnesses are worse than others, yet they still spread. The vast size of the galaxy has made curing diseases seem impossible. On top of that, there has never been a framework for wiping out an illness, other than allowing it to run its course and hoping people die faster than they infect. Yet, people went about their lives without thinking about the monster that follows them. The debate about whether it was possible reignited after humanity's introduction to galactic society. Humanity entered the galactic stage armed to the teeth, with ships boasting guns the size of ships and armor so thick that breaching their airlock was a challenge. This earned humans a reputation as angry, small, rabid creatures, at least on the galactic web, and placed humanity as the second major military power in the galaxy within a few years. However, as human forces became more prominent in galactic peacekeeping, something was noticed. Humans never got sick, at least not severely. There were no stories of entire human forces becoming inoperable due to sickness, nor of human leaders dying from plagues. So investigations began. Governments were the first, but they couldn't believe the results. Humanity had suffered from illnesses far worse than most in the galaxy: malaria, Ebola, bird flu, and the most horrific of all, the Black Death. These diseases could easily have claimed the top spot amongst the galaxy's worst killers, yet they were nowhere to be found. Humanity had achieved what no other species had managed. They eradicated their deadliest killers. So why hadn't we? The question spread faster than any illness in the galaxy. People realized that we might not have to face such monsters again. But many resisted these questions. We were not unfamiliar with the idea of vaccination, but no one had invested in it to the extent humans had. They developed methods that could be added to food and ingested, inadvertently helping to eradicate what they called the common cold. However, what we were unaccustomed to was humanity's greatest ally in their war on sickness, the bacteriophage. Through some stroke of luck, a creature evolved whose sole purpose was to kill bacteria, perhaps because survival on Earth was so difficult that even something half alive had to fight hard. Yet, counter-arguments persisted. The argument shifted from "it's impossible" to "it is practically impossible on the scale that we are spread across today." Some governments wondered if there would be economic benefits or gains from committing so much to something that would only lead to job losses and increased government spending. Years passed, and the argument of feasibility was challenged when, with human assistance, a program to eradicate the red poodle disease began. Most governments allowed humans and alien ships into their space to offer free vaccination and incentives. Progress was slow, painfully so. It started with a town, then a city. Slowly, entire planets were declared clean. However, even as people on those planets questioned why their children continued to be vaccinated, the latest update on the virus became more distant. These arguments lessened after an entire chain of FTL lanes was infected again, costing billions. Gradually, infections decreased from trillions to billions, then to hundreds of thousands, and finally to thousands. The last report of the virus was on a slum world on the outskirts of the galaxy, 50 years after the program began. Afterwards, calls for the eradication of the next disease dominated discussion. Economic benefits had just begun to be seen, but that wasn't what the people cared about. They began to remember family members lost to something they couldn't see, something that tormented them into immobility and then death. Humanity gave voice to the rage of 1 billion lost souls crying out for vengeance. Thousands of efforts began in the past year. We know we will be late for many, but if it means saving one more life than the day before, if it means reclaiming one more inch of land from the old gods, we will do it. Only when the cries of 1 trillion fallen find their vengeance will we rest. End of story. I do know it was a little subdued, and I apologize for that, but, we have to work with what we got. Story number 2. No Human Comes Back, written by Calamity Comet. A featureless black cube hung in space. Each side was exactly 1 light year in length. It was so immense you could travel for days at full transit and not fully traverse its breadth. Looking at it, the crew of the HFY felt as though space-time had broken. It was as if the abyss of fabled old religions had tread upon the very laws of physics. Captain Zinao crossed all 11 arms. What does the new report from Xenobiotics say? The second in command looked apologetic. They decoded the cube's message. It states that the cube has been created by the adjacent creators of this universe. They will end this universe in 10 billion years. Unless, said the captain, unless we send an away team. No member of the HFY will come back. It's a sociological experiment to test capacity for sacrifice. The captain shrugged. 10 billion years is quite some time. Your thoughts? Sociology shrugged from across the bridge. Another species will take the fall long before then. I recommend we continue on as though nothing happened. The captain nodded. Affirmative. A featureless black cube hung in space, as though a black hole had gained angles and lost focus, expanding to a reference frame of gargantuan proportions. Wow, said Shala. That's a large cube. One moment, said Sociology. Their computers were very advanced compared to those in supermillennia past. Okay, I said in collective. The cube wants us to send a party to research. This team will be removed forcibly from this universe. This action tests our species' capacity for mutual thought. They will die, asked Captain Shala. They will not come back, answered Sociology. How long until the universe ends, asked Shala. Her tentacles undulated in delight at this problem, more unique than any before. 500 million standard years, answered Statistics and Numbers. Very long, said Shala. Instruct the government. They did. Shala's government spent 40,000 years on the problem, but there was no available solution other than to sacrifice a research party. Eventually, they decided someone else in the future would be smarter, and they gave up. Out of intellectual shame, they informed no one else. A featureless black cube hung in space. Identify! The cube remained silent. Weapons! The Utnot ship fired everything. Antimatter lancers, photoid beams, particle bursts, and even ancient nuclear weapons. The cube hung in space, still black and featureless. Captain General at last shrugged his various heads upon their necks. Target, cube, featureless, unaffected. Explain! Xenobiology regretfully shrugged. Cube informs demands that we obey puzzle-solving question. 12 million years remain until cube builders end the universe. If we send inspection marines to board it, it will relent. At last shook his many heads. No point to waste a patriotic, ethnic, in-group marines. 12 million years is a very long time. Someone else will intervene. We must maintain our substantial present galactic political advantage. Dismissed. The Udnite cruiser left cube space quickly. A featureless black cube hung in space. Sensors, put it up on screen. Captain Bradley couldn't comprehend what he was seeing. They'd been at light speed for days, but the cube stretched into what seemed like infinity. It was at least 1 light year across, that much was sure. Captain, it's aiding us, and, said Bradley. He didn't like where this was going. It requests we send an away team, the cube. The cube requests we send a team to its surface. Yes, Captain, beyond its surface. Bradley paced the deck. No human had ever encountered a transnormal galactic being. Now he was the first. But the feeling of foreboding that was crushing his chest was entirely unwelcome. What are the terms? He asked. The cube will end the universe by proxy in 800,000 years, should we not intervene. If we send a team, it'll save the universe, but our team will not come back. Captain, said Physics, 800,000 years is quite some time. Prepare a team, said Captain Bradley, cutting off his subordinate. 800,000 years is no time at all. The universe is basically already over. If there is even a tiny chance that the universe will end, we must send a team. I will lead it. First officer, prepare the orders. The team departed at the end of that cycle. The universe did not end, per the very clear instructions. But that said, it is worth mentioning that in the face of that immovable black Leviathan, no humans came back. End of story. I apologize for the more unplugged version, the more muted version of this. Hopefully my health will be back to normal next week. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Bushmaster 177, Henry the Red, Caspar Arnholtz, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Elijah Silvercross, Dragzoon WRE, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.